Hi, everybody. You are listening to Judging Meghan with Meghan Judge, or you might be watching today because I've noticed I'm getting more people watching these days, which I'm always grateful for. I usually don't wear makeup, Kim, so sometimes I watch back, especially because I've been doing this for 5 years. And in the beginning, I was in my bedroom and there were like laundry baskets in the background because it was 2020. I started it in the thick of COVID and I was drooling in a corner. So I'm hoping that my YouTube's a little bit more manageable to watch these days because I look back on episodes. If you ever want to laugh at listeners, watchers, please just go back to my original episodes. They're really scary. Okay, saying that, on a serious note, it's the holidays. So I already put up my tree. It's not even Thanksgiving, but I don't care anymore because that's the world we're living in. We have to find happiness wherever we can find it. And I know that this is a really tough time of year for people because not everybody's happy. You might be going through some kind of loss, or you might be lonely, or you might have just lost your job, or you might be struggling financially. Please know that there is always someone that you can reach out to. And if you're a listener and you just want to reach out to me, there is nothing that makes me happier in the world than hearing from you guys. So anytime, I have some listeners that have been with me since the beginning, and I become friends with them. So there's listeners like Donna that have been listening from the beginning. I have a lot of listeners that always reach out to me and they send me things. And I just wanted to say, Donna, if you're listening, how much you mean to me. There's others, but she sent me something really special recently. She made me this mix and she always thinks of me. So thank you, listeners. I adore you. And I'm thinking of you this holiday season. Okay. With that said, Kim Rogers. Oh, thanks, Kim. Okay. So Kim Rogers is known as, in quotes, the worm queen. Okay. And she has a company called Rogers Hood Apothecary. She has made a Parasite kit, and you're going to correct me because I always butcher an intro. So don't be afraid to butt in after I say all of this. And honestly, when I think you reached out to me or your team reached out to me, I went to myself, that is disgusting. Yeah. Like gross. But then as I started to go down the rabbit hole of realizing how popular this kit is, and you've sold over, you tell me the number again, but you've sold like 1 million products. You have people like Heidi Klum raving about your kit. You were just featured in Cosmo. So that's my intro for you. If I left something out and you were furious at me because you went, who is this dumb blonde introducing me right now? Please tell my audience more about you.
That was great. That was perfect. I loved it. Heidi Klum did a Parasite cleanse and then they labeled it Worm Queen Trend. I was thrilled because she's detoxing from parasites, realizing it's a thing,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I really worked hard the last 4 years to make it a thing because it is.
Okay. I'm so excited to hear your story. So we're going to start like I always start with everyone. Tell me where you're from.
So I was born in Cali, and my dad was a colonel in nuclear missiles, and our nukes are in the middle of our country. So my dad moved us to South Dakota. And so that's really where I grew up until I was around 16. And I am not like normal people. And so my mom and dad thought I was weird. And so I moved out when I was around 16. And I moved to the Pacific Northwest, and then I've lived in Texas. I've lived in 8 states and 56 cities. And so I've kind of been able to go and be around this side of the country, and I enjoy moving. I enjoy building. That's really, really what it is.
I have to tell you, I have met a lot of people in my life, and I have never met somebody that told me that they grew up with a parent that was dealt with the nuclear missiles in the middle of the country. That's a first for me.
Oh, yeah. He held the football, actually. He was the one that would hit the button.
Oh, my God. That's scary. Okay.
And then before he did that, he worked in a flight called the Looking Glass, which is what we use for games and like war games, and he would go up and fly all day and act like there was nothing left on earth, and then he would land and come home and have meatloaf. It was a really weird job and a weird life in a way, because like I don't think a lot of people realize that military is the whole family, like he's serving, but so are we in a sense. And so it really gave me a lot of structure for me to understand medicine. I worked for an airline for like almost 7 years during 9/11. And then right after I left and went into medicine. And I mean, it's just been the best thing I could have ever done for really what my life is like now. But I worked in 25, I actually built 25 healthcare colleges. And I wrote curriculum, and I worked in the field for a few years, and I hold 2 healthcare degrees, and I was valedictorian in those degrees because I just really, when I dig into something, I like give it my all, kind of like what I'm doing now.
Okay, well, this podcast is over because this isn't impressive at all. I'm like kind of like, oh, wow. Well, my dad was an orthodontist, so here we go.
That's really great, though.
Okay, so in all seriousness,
Yeah.
I have to ask you. So you work for the airlines.
Yep.
You left in 9/11 due to 9/11?
No, I left right after 9/11. So it was really tough working for an airline after 9/11.
Yeah.
Things were very different, and they treated you differently as an employee. You were just very like, and I was young and I had no college, and like, I was around 18 when I started. And so I was in my early 20s at this point, and I didn't have anything to fall back on. And right after 9/11, they started giving you notices. Like, if you started around this day, you should consider taking this package to leave. And then if we ask you back, though, you have to come back, or you have to pay back the package. I mean, it was really like stressful.
Yeah.
And so I decided to go into medicine because you can learn a lot. You can move inside of medicine in so many different ways, which I have. And I'm really fortunate about that because I've really enjoyed what I've done in medicine. I enjoy what I'm doing now more because it definitely gives people more knowledge and understanding of the human body and have more sovereignty over their own health, which is really important, and be their own advocate. So I've just used social media as my classroom. I mean, one day I realized when I went viral how much I can share my knowledge on this platform. And we have over 1 million followers. So I just keep doing the same thing in order to educate people.
Okay, so for the sake of time, I would love to find out more about, I mean, that's a first for me. I've never met somebody that's did that in your kind of history. But I want to know, why in God's name did you come up with this idea for the kit? Because I'm sure there's a whole backstory.
So in 2019, I was dying, and my husband and I could not get my health under control. I now know that I had end stages of chronic Lyme. I had 11 active molds in my body, and I had multiple different parasites that were shutting my organs down, including Cryptosporidium parvium, which is parvo, which unalives puppies.
Yeah.
And so it was shutting my organs down, and I didn't know. And so in 2019, my husband and I packed our lives up. We sold our home that we had just finished renovating, which now we know had mold, and moved ourselves out to a piece of recreational property that we owned on the outskirts of a rainforest to build a log home. And I had helped my parents build a log home before, so it was kind of a fun adventure for us. But we could do it with no mortgage and no debt. And as most people know, when you're chronically ill, it's very expensive. It really dictated most of my life throughout my 20s after I found out I had stage 4 endometriosis and had a hysterectomy when I was 29 years old and 13 surgeries. So it was a very expensive illnesses that I had, not knowing everything, right? I would go to the doctors and they would just like, well, we think this is what it is, just like everyone else.
Yeah.
And so I realized that I needed to basically like shut the outside world off. And I feel bad for everyone in 2020, but it was really nice for me because everyone was really in lockdown. And so it was like no FOMO, and I was able to really focus on my own health. And so my husband and I did this for about a year and a half, where we really just dedicated every moment we could to growing mushrooms so that I had the most pure mushrooms in my body and no additives. And we changed me off of all of my big pharma meds, and I was on Klonopin after 22 years and I needed to get off of it. They wanted to diagnose me with Parkinson's, which can be a wrong diagnosis because of side effects of Klonopin. And so I really just wanted to focus on how I could fix my body and what I could do. And this was the best time. So I did that and I was doing a little bit better. But in around June, July of 2021, I still wasn't at a good space. My skin was a mess, and I have really great skin and have before all of this. I just want the listeners to understand that I was a snowboarder and I did roller derby. I was athletic. So when I say that I started to decline and things were not looking good, and I'm a high performer, it was so bad. So I was doing a little bit better after getting off of my big pharma meds, really trying to clean up my food and just being in a different space than I was a few years before. And I just wasn't there. So I was scrolling with purpose on TikTok, and I had a little TikTok account. It had around 10,000 followers, and I was teaching people how to build a log home and mushrooms. And I came across a gal's TikTok that said she almost unalived herself over worms, and that her mental health issues were because of worms, and that she never could eat without feeling bloated because of worms. And I thought, a few years before, I thought I had worms, and my doctor said, "No way, Kim, you haven't been out of the country in a while. You're not out there doing anything that could make you have worms, even though I have pets." No, right? So I bought what she was talking about. It was $30 on Amazon, and within 3 days, this pain that I had on my right side that would indicate it was time for me to have another surgery was gone. And in the toilet, I saw roundworm flukes and pinworms. Didn't even have to dig in my poop. They were just floating at the top. And right then I had the validation I knew, and I grabbed my phone.
Wait a second.
And I made a video.
I'm sorry, listeners. That is a lot. I'm deeply okay, gross, but proceed. I had to stop for a second and just stop you. Okay, go ahead.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, that's gross. That's gross.
It was really, and apparently from what I know now, there was a nest, because they live in a biofilm and they all live together.
What?
And so there was a nest, and that nest really, really caused havoc on my right side constantly. Flares during the full moon. Anytime I couldn't go poop, pain would always go there. And now knowing the minute I evacuated them out, because I had never taken herbs like wormwood and black walnut hull and garlic in a fashion that I had taken them. And that's, I learned from all of that to make my own product, but it changed that moment. It was just like, as soon as I was able to release this energetic parasite out of my body, I was able to really oh my God, could this be what has been going on with me? Could this be a root cause for me? And so I grabbed my phone and I went outside and I did a video, and it was 60 seconds. And in that 60 seconds, within 2 hours, 1 million people watched the video. And it shut my TikTok down. My phone overheated, and I had to go on to another device because I couldn't get on it in my normal phone. And so far, 10 million people watched that video, but I gained 200,000 followers overnight. And I did 10 videos that day, and I've done this every day since July 18th of 2021.
Oh, Mike. Okay. I've been doing this 5 years, and I have never I'm kind of speechless right now. I mean, I'm going to be honest. It's half of me is repulsed. I hope you don't take offense to that.
No offense taken. That's why I'm known as the word queen.
Yeah. And then the other half of me is okay. And I'm going to be honest. I'm scared to tell you what I eat. I eat a pretty healthy diet, but I don't eat meat and chicken, but I do eat fish. And I know there's parasites in fish. I know it. I have not been able to quit. And one of my best friends, Josh, is constantly you need to cut the fish out. You need to cut the sushi out. So I'm pretty sure that I have parasites. And that was part of why I wanted you on, because I was like, there's something going on with my digestion. There's something, I mean, I'm also getting older. As we get older, everything kind of slows down. You know, I'm middle aged. I hate admitting that, but I am. It's not my favorite thing getting older, but I'm always open to other things. And I think in life, if we're not open to big farm and just like putting like, you know, I did an episode a couple weeks ago with a psychiatrist, Dr. Mark Horowitz, who talks about weaning people off of long-term use of antidepressants. Okay. So I think our minds need to be open to everything right now.
Yeah.
Right. That's not to say I am a believer in medication. Me personally,
Same.
I believe in I believe in vaccines. I believe in that kind of stuff. So I want my listeners to know me personally, but I also believe in alternative medicine and alternative ways to improve our health. So that was part of why I wanted you on the podcast, but I also did not really want to hear that story, but now I'm in. And I need to know. So what happened next? Did people start? So you came up with the kit,
Yeah.
right?
So, well, I just want to also preface to the listeners that I believe in Western medicine. Even though I joke around that I'm a Western medicine refugee, but I believe that Western medicine is here to save our life, not to hold our hand and heal us. And that really is something that when you're a medical awakening and you're going on a journey, you need to realize that all of these things are around us to help us. And how you choose to utilize what is out there is really up to you. And that's what medical sovereignty is over your own body, and being able to advocate for yourself by going into the doctor with the knowledge and saying, well, I mean, is it going to hurt you to do these herbs and to parasite cleanse? No, it's just not. It's not something that's going to harm you. It's going to lighten you. It's going to help relieve some of the heavy metals that we have in our bodies. There's no way around it. Our toxic buckets are just overflown. Right.
Okay, but I'm going to say one thing, and sorry to interrupt, but I have a huge mouth. So there's always going to be the other side of it, right?
Totally.
Because I believe it or not, I did my research on all of this. And of course, the doctors are like, no, this is not good, whatever.
Right.
And I love what you said, everyone, be your own advocate. When you go to the doctor, have a list of questions. They have a limited amount of time, and go down the list. I read an article over the weekend. I lost my father really young to leukemia when he was just 46 years old. He passed away. And I read this beautiful article that I was ugly crying for the entire night, written by one of the Kennedys, what's John Kennedy's sister? Her daughter, I think her name is Katrina Schlossberg, is right now in the throes of dying. And she wrote this article about being your own advocate. And it was the most touching article, but also the most heartbreaking article. And it made me stop and think, we're here for such a limited time. And you really don't need to just say, this is my diagnosis, and not do the homework and be your own advocate. So I'm sorry to interrupt and say that, but I think it's so, so important for people to hear that and just sit down and not just think of other ways to kind of improve their lives, just like you did. You were dying, you said, in 2019.
Yeah, I can show you actually how sick I genuinely was. You know, when you start to get your affairs in order, which is what we were doing, we had gotten them in order so that my husband could really grieve. You know, that's really what my whole personality is.
Wait, I have to put my glasses on. Or if you're watching on YouTube, oh my God, Kim. Wow. Guys.
My organs were shutting down.
Go to YouTube just for this picture. Yeah. That's incredible. I mean, and also Lyme disease is people think it's a made up disease.
Right.
Yeah. So that's on top of everything else.
Right.
You're walking around with people going, that doesn't exist.
And I didn't know I had Lyme until 2023. So I should have never really had a hysterectomy. Now that I've looked back, I have zero regrets. I have zero children. I really didn't want children. So it's not something to me personally, but to other people, I feel like that's why I was made for this, right?
Yeah.
Because for some people that would just ruin them. For me, I understand that I was bit by a tick and I caught Lyme, and my mom has mold in her body. We have the same mold, and being able to know genetically what all of this looks like now, going backwards, because I have the education and because I'm just a really curious person, I should have never had a hysterectomy. I should have done something like this to be proactive and to see if maybe these issues were because I had a tapeworm, or because I had roundworm, or because I had mold, or because I had Lyme. And a lot of people actually that have Lyme are being tested after they have mold poisoning and it's coming back positive for Lyme. These are all just words, and the words are here for a reason. One, for insurance purposes, going into the medicine of it all, they need to know how to charge and then how to actually assist you when you have this label, because each thing is a little bit of a different therapy. So like when I found out I had Lyme, I started doing NAD and hyperbaric chamber oxygen therapy to snuff it out. So I would have done that eventually because I love it, but like it was more of, okay, well, in order for me to get control over the neurological problems I'm having because of Lyme. And so it really just helped me and validate me as a child, me to kind of heal that, like, oh, well, it really wasn't me when I started having these mental health issues. I had pandas because I had autoimmune encephalitis because of the Lyme. And so it really kind of helped me go, oh, well, to my core, this is me, right? It's good. Anxiety is coming from something else. So it really helped me break down and understand. And so a lot of that comes up when you're parasite cleansing, to be honest with you, because they're energetic forces that are stealing your life force and your memories. They hold on to things like how fascia holds on to memories. They can hold on to memories. And when you're doing a parasite cleanse, you might have something pop up and be like, what? And it's because they're dying off and they're dropping everything on their way out to keep their lineage going. And it sounds wild and sci-fi, trust me.
It does. It does.
It sounds so crazy.
But you came to the right place, by the way, because I kind of believe in all of this kind of stuff.
Good.
Also, I wish I would have talked to you because I had a hysterectomy 2 years ago, but it's a whole thing. But,
Yeah.
and again, I needed to at the time. Everybody goes through things when they're supposed to. But if there's a way to get around this stuff, for as women, like I'm here for it. I wish I didn't have to go through that. So tell me, okay, so I'm going to go backwards a little bit.
Okay.
So you had the event happen.
Yes.
You had all of these viewers, eyeballs, probably fascinated. Half of them were repulsed and like, what was that? And then the other half of them were like, wait a second. Then what happened? You started to put the kits together, you started selling the kits and seeing results? No.
So
okay.
I actually, after I went viral, I started collecting all the information that was in my comments so that I could go and research myself. Like, oh, wait, other countries deworm themselves. Oh, the Amish do this. Oh, wait, Germany does this. You know what I mean? So I started to really get in because I come from very black and white, not herbs. And so I started to research, and I also was talking about other companies' products. And when I asked the other companies that I was talking about on my TikTok account, a little transparency, they wouldn't give it to me. And so here I'm trying to be transparent with everyone around me. And they were not telling me what the natural ingredients were that was in it. And unfortunately, that's a hidden word. And if you're not going to let me know, I can't really talk about you anymore. So then I found out how expensive all of this stuff was. And I realized that I needed to probably make my own. And I needed to have it with instructions, and I needed it to handle candida, parasites, worms, heavy metals, bad bacteria, break the biofilm, and in a tincture form, plus add a binder and instructions, all in a nice box.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to hold it up for YouTubers. Also, why I'm holding all of this up, I need you to dumb it down because maybe there's, and I don't mean this offensively to any listeners, but I'm going to
no.
say, I want you to break down what you just said.
Yeah.
Because Candida, like break down what that means because some people might not know.
So Candida is an overgrowth of yeast. We all have yeast in our body, but when it starts to overgrow and starts to somewhat ferment in your body, it becomes a parasite and it tells you to eat sugar so it can continue to have its life force. And so it's really difficult once it becomes systematic. You can get it all over your body, it can cause skin issues. So you have to bring in an herb like Oregon grapefruit, which is in one of our tinctures. And so
I'm going to hold some of them up.
Okay.
I don't know if my glass is on right now.
No big
but
deal.
You have the Parify.
Yeah. So Parify is our parasite cleanse. And then Sustain is our Candida and our bad bacteria herb cleanse. Okay. And then Metal Flush, which is our third tincture. That one is our heavy metal detox. I also added in a little white willow bark to help with any sort of discomfort, pain that it could have with deworming. And it also needs to break biofilm. So I added herbs in for that. And then Cinnabon is your binder. And that one has Ceylon cinnamon and coconut activated charcoal. And you take one pill at night. And a binder helps bind toxins that are just like free flowing or anything that's been dropped by a parasite or mold. It'll bind it and it'll hopefully come out your butt instead of your skin and your nose and your mouth. So it helps bind that and then it doesn't absorb back into your body. And then Fulvic, which is a foot soak or a bath soak. Fulvic is just a really amazing mineral that also helps bind with heavy metals and parasites. And I have that on our website because I went viral over Fulvic because I had them swim out of my feet.
No, you didn't.
I did. It's all on video.
I don't want
I didn't film any of this
right now.
If I would have filmed any of this, I would be like, you are a crazy lady.
I mean, it does. But I mean, I'm open to this stuff. I think we all need to be because we have like we live in the richest country in the world.
Yeah, and we're the sickest.
And we're the sickest and the most obese. And we have so many health and there's so much crap in our foods. And,
so much.
And so like we have to know that like and there's like so many, it's all about money. Everything comes down to money. So if there's ways to make shortcuts in the way that they make our cereal, for example, where they leave all the crap in our cereal but then they ship it to other countries because in our country it can have a longer shelf life and then we're feeding this to our children and then we're continuing the cycle of all of this. There's a problem. Okay, so tell me, once you came up with the kit and you spent the money and you did all this research, then you started selling the kit.
I did it all at once.
You did it at once. Okay,
all at once.
So tell me about that.
So back in 2020 and 2021, we didn't have a link tree. So I met a girl on TikTok and I didn't have any money. And so I was looking for someone to help me build a website in order for me to be able to talk about these things, do ebooks, give it to the community for free. And she offered to do that. And I said, great, let's build a website. And then I have a feeling at some point I'm probably going to need to make some sort of a business or product because at this point it was around $250 for everything I was talking about. I could not afford $250 myself, let alone now my husband needs to be cleansing as well. And so it was expensive. So I sat down and I started looking at herbs and I started looking at the way that I could build this at a lot less cost. And just so everyone knows, I'm able to have done it at $100. That's what my kit is $100. And that includes 3 tinctures and a binder, instructions, and any support really that you need because we answer every comment, every DM, and every email that comes our way. We really are community-based company. We wouldn't be here without our community, without them liking and sharing and emailing. And so I just want people to know that that really was my biggest reason for doing this. Or I was still very ill when all of this was happening. I actually found out a year later that I was living in mold and was suffering from mold poisoning. Even though I had done all these parasite cleanses, I found out our travel trailer we were living in was mold, and then I became homeless. And so we really, like, this is our mission. That's when I say it's our mission. Like, we dedicated our lives to this. So this was like July when I went viral. And then in December 13th is when we actually pulled our LLC and started the business. And we sold 500 kits our first hour.
Oh my God.
And we were only going to sell 250. But I guess I'm a glutton for punishment because I'm like, how many can we really do? Like, how long did this take to start? Because we soak our own herbs. So because I'm so dedicated to this, we actually have our own 13,000 square foot manufacturing facility that we built ourselves, and we soak our own herbs that we've actually, some of them have been foraged, but they're organic and they're ethically sourced. And so we soak our own herbs, we make our own tinctures in our own manufacturing facility that Rogers Hood built.
Okay, so my next question is, you started selling these kits, you sold 500.
Yep.
And then were people experiencing like the same thing that you experienced? Because my question to you is, it's the holidays. Okay. So I don't eat turkey and stuff. I'm not like a huge Thanksgiving person, but Thanksgiving's on Thursday. I was planning on talking to you before I started my cleanse because I'm spoiled and lucky that I can talk to you in person and have this, and for my listeners too. I started to think, well, what's going to happen? Am I going to start having sorry for the TMI, but like worms while I'm going to the bathroom, like stomach discomfort? Tell me a little bit about that piece of it.
I mean, you could have a little stomach discomfort, but the nice thing about a tincture is you can adjust. So with the Parasite kit, it's 3 times a day, all 3 tinctures, 15 drops. But if you decide you just want to start with one, once a day because the holidays, you can do that. And we actually are using our words a little differently when we're talking to people because you can use this proactively. The sustain will help curve your sugars, and that's because of the Oregon grapefruit and the usnea, and it'll help curve your appetite as well. So you can use it prior to the holidays in order for you not to go hog wild. I mean, in reality, that's what I do, and it's been really a great formula for me to do cleanses 3 to 4 times a year. But then when I'm traveling, I use them proactively so that so nothing's in me and I'm inhospitable, and then I'm not craving the sugar. Like, I know my family eats a lot of sugar, so I already know what I'm in for this week. So I started cleansing just yesterday, and I'll cleanse until next Sunday, and then I'll be, like a little mini cleanse so that I'm not going crazy.
So is these products in the kit that I got, how long? So is this just for one cleanse, or is it
30 days? Well, technically it's like 40-ish days.
Okay.
I give more than a 30-day, but it's a 30-day cleanse. You can keep going if you want, but statistically, the general population doesn't like to do things more than 30 days. They start to feel overwhelmed, and I don't want that. Like, I don't want someone to not want to cleanse because they immediately hear 90 days, So, and after 21 days, your mind actually changes and rewires itself. And so it takes 21 days to make or break a habit. So I picked really something that would be something that people would want to do. A bad cleanse is like a bad trip. No one will want to keep doing it, even though you need to do it.
Okay, so say somebody's going to start, like right now we're in November, end of November. Somebody's like, oh, I'm going to do this starting in January. So they do it for 30 days. Are there things that are off limits? Like, can you not have alcohol? Can you not, tell me a little bit about that piece. So I'm asking for a friend and myself.
Okay. So you just want to be as proactive as possible. Use things as guides. Don't not do something because of it with the Parasite kit.
Okay.
I have free ebooks in my profile that are cookbooks. And in the one cookbook we have right now, it's like no meat, no sugar, no carbs, no alcohol. Over the last few years, I've done a lot of research and I've studied other medicines that they do recommend doing a clean meat protein when you're doing cleanses. So I do recommend now, and we're actually creating another cookbook that'll launch at the end of the year for the holidays that is a meat protein. So as far as eating and using our free cookbook that's like 123 pages long, just use it as a guide. Do your best. If you can eat a couple of times a week really good, it's going to change your outlook on food, and it's going to change your taste buds because they're in our blood, our tissue, and our muscle. They're not just in our gut. And so when you're able to kind of calm down whatever is going on in your mouth, specifically candida, your thought process of food and sugar is going to change. They can brainwash you and control your mind, telling you you need to eat this. So if you're able to go in and kind of calm that down, you're not going to want to eat the same way. And so I tell people on their first few cleanses, just be gentle with yourself. Just do your best.
And are you going to start having like worms? Like, can you tell me? I don't want to know that part, but I do need to know. And I think the listeners do too. So I'm going to put my hands on my eyes right now while you tell me this and not plug my ears. Go ahead.
If you want to see what could come out of your body, I have a 600-page parasite identification ebook that's free as well on our website. So if you're like, what's going to come out? But I always say better out than in, because it's sucking your energy out. So it's really possible to see something. It's also possible to not see anything because some of it's microscopic. Or if you've ever watched any of my pineapple juice videos where they put pineapple juice on a group of worms and it causes them to explode, just dissipate. And that can happen. And so unless you're a cleanser that's a digger, then you may not see anything. Now, if you're just a looker and a flusher, you could see something, but a digger is going to probably see some things.
Okay, so let me ask you for the sake of time, because I know I have you for a limited time today, and I could talk to you all day. How many repeat clients do you have? How many repeat people come back and do this cleanse multiple times a year? Is it a huge number?
I think we're like 75% of repeat customers.
Okay. And it's just growing. So like I said in the beginning, you're featured in Cosmo right now. You have a huge following. This all kind of tracks. So I hate to say that I'm looking forward to doing this, but I am. The other part of it is the vanity piece. Because I have a lot of women that listen to the podcast, and men, but a lot of women. And you talked about skin and you talk about weight loss. I mean, you showed that picture, the before and the after, and it's night and day. So go on YouTube and watch if you're listening right now, just to see the picture alone. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, you start to clean your gut out, your skin's going to respond. Usually your gut is dictating what your skin's going to look like, and it takes roughly around 14 to 30 days before whatever's in your gut appears in your face. And so when I cleanse, I get breakouts. I'm in a cleanse right now. I have a couple of breakouts, but on average, your skin should be clear. You shouldn't have psoriasis. You shouldn't have eczema. It all stems from your gut. And if you think about the way your gut is like a 22 to 30 foot long, smooth muscle, and then it's like a conveyor belt, and all of a sudden there's damage to that conveyor belt, those damages cause you to have inflammation on your face and cause you to have blemishes and issues. And so even wrinkles, like I've aged backwards because of the amount of cleansing that I've done. And I don't do much with I do facials, so it's like, really your insides do dictate on what's going on your outside. So when you get that under control, I can tell when someone's cleansed by the way that their skin looks. I was on a podcast last week in LA and I was looking at the guy and his name is Andy. And I'm like, I just couldn't get over how great Andy's skin looked. So cause I've watched him on podcasts before and his skin looked good, but it didn't have this carefree light and bright. And his eyes. And I looked at him, I'm like, you cleansed, didn't you? And he goes, I did. And I loved it. And I go, you can tell your skin looks great. And then in the middle of the podcast, I stopped and I'm like, God, I just can't get over how great your skin looks.
You didn't say this to me. I'm really offended.
Really
I'm joking, but just wait.
But it's going to even look lighter.
Until you're going to be like, who are you? I'm joking.
We'll have to do a second one.
Okay, we probably will do. Because when I believe in something and I do it, I'll have you back on. By the way, because I think it's huge. Okay, I have to ask you one other thing. Okay, so you've been doing this. You have 75% of your the people that purchase this come back. You're growing. You're huge. What is the biggest takeaway for the sake of time that you can give my listeners? Say you're skeptical and you're saying, and again, listeners, seek medical advice. Never take something unless you go to your doctor. But there's got to be ways around traditional medicine. And if it can only help, I heard you say you take NAD. There's a lot of things for longevity that is being studied, biohacking, like all the things that are going to make us live longer. This is huge. And I believe in this. And gut health is health, right? I mean, they say everything starts in your gut. So I know I struggle with some issues with my gut right now. So this is something I personally am very open to. So what is the biggest takeaway after that long-winded comment for my listeners?
If you feel like this is something that you don't need to do, just try it once and see, because I'm guaranteeing that you have heavy metals in your body. I guarantee that everyone has them. Our buckets of toxins are overflowing, and we have organs that in fact are supposed to detox us. But when our organs and our body is taxed to the point that our bodies are at this juncture in humanity, you got to give it a little bit of a break. You need to give it a little bit of help. And that might be taking herbs that your body knows how to break down. It's not synthetic. And so I find that synthetic drugs for me personally was a struggle. And that's what caused a lot of my endometriosis issues. When I started cutting synthetic things out of my life and went straight to herbs, my body responded well because it knows how to break down the herb that's coming through, that frequency. So we're all frequency. That's all this is. I just figured out which frequency of that herb helps which frequency of that ailment. And I just matched it, like when an opera singer sings and shatters a glass, she just got her voice to the same frequency as the glass and shattered it. If you look at it in such a breakdown black and white way, everything is a frequency. And so when you can figure out what symptom and what ailment and what herb can match all of that, you have a great synergistic way of cleansing out organs that just need a little bit of assistance. I could go and never cleanse again, and I cleaned my organs enough that I don't feel like I'm going to have this many issues the rest of my life. But before, everything was taxed. My liver was taxed because I had liver flukes. I had my appendix removed, which pinworms love the appendix. And so when you start to remove these things, your body starts to function normally, like a car, right? You clean the water out of your gas in your car, you're going to have your engine run better. It's just logical. And I think the day and age we're in now, we've been told how we should do this. And I think that once you start to awaken a little more or have a better understanding of the human body, you'll understand that sometimes you just have to give it a little bit of help. And that's all this is.
Okay. I love it. I'm excited. I shouldn't say I am kind of excited.
I'm excited for you. Oh, I'm very excited for you.
And also, Kim, you have to come back.
Yeah.
Because I actually had Chris Burrows, who came up with a product called My Vital C. I don't know.
Yeah, we're friends. I love
Oh my God, I love
Chris.
Chris.
With the oil. Well, he does it with olive oil.
I take it every day.
On my desk.
I take it every day. And honestly, Chris knows this. He came back. He's been on twice. I was somebody that got sick all the time. Every time I traveled for 10 months, I did get sick recently, but it wasn't to the point that it usually is. No. And that's why I am a believer of things like this. And shout out My Vital C. But I am so excited to start this. I'm going to start it in January. I'm just telling you. So you're going to come back on after I finish. Everyone, you can find Kim at Rogers Hood Apothecary. What is the website? It's rogershood.com.
Yes.
Okay. And tell my listeners where they can find you on socials.
You can find my podcast. It's What's Eating You with the letter U on YouTube and all streaming platforms. My Instagram and all of my other handles is Mrs. Rogers. Instagram is .hood, so MRSROGERS.HOOD. You can also Google Kim Rogers Worm Queen and I'll pop up, and you can find me on rogershood.com.
Okay. It was such an honor meeting you today and having you on. Everyone, if you're listening today and you have 2 seconds, please go and leave me a review, either on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you're listening or watching. And I'm so appreciative of all of you. And like I said in the beginning, the holidays, it's 2 days, right? Technically, it's Thanksgiving and Christmas. And if you're lonely and your mental health is struggling right now, and Kim even mentioned the mental health piece, which we didn't go enough into, but this will help all of your body, right? Because you kind of talked about that. So you have to find, we're in a crisis of health and wellness and mental health in this country right now. So there's got to be different ways to get ourselves better, mental health better, everything better. So like I said, if you're struggling, there's always someone. I love getting your messages. Please reach out to me. I adore you all. Thank you, Kim. Keep going. You matter. Your story matters.
Judging Meghan with Meghan Judge.